Hey everybody, welcome to the finale, the last of the 10 on the primer for anti-racist white educators. So back with Lucas Mitchner and bringing this to an end. So the last of the primer, number 10, is
Listen. Gone full circle. It's also step one in the primer is to listen, and we're ending it with the same idea because it's the most important thing. Really hearing perspectives other than our own and truly listening to them, not just having them fill space, but listening and taking other people's truths for how they've walked through the world in order to consider our own understanding is really, really important in this work.
yeah. So we got to pull a Brian McKnight and start back at one. Remember that song?
Oh yeah, that's gonna age us a little bit.
Yeah, a little
on
bit.
the reference thing.
But the whole point of this is that at any of these steps, whether you are learning about, you're trying to do your own learning, and you're reading different works, and somebody makes a suggestion, right? Listen, if you're trying to acknowledge, but maybe you miss, and somebody says, hey, like you said this idea, and that somebody did it to me. Somebody was like, basically this entire primer is bell hooks and Paulo Freire. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, like totally, like I want to give that credit. So just at any of these steps, at any of the points, like these aren't sequential. They're not things that you have to master before you move on. They are things that constantly we need to be listening to our colleagues, to our students of color, to learn how to do those better and how to show up better in them.
Yep, students especially, and that's it's one of the reasons I'm engaged in any of this work at all is from listening to a couple of students and trying to think about ways to make their experience walking through these halls and learning in these classrooms better, more equitable, more fair. And if we don't believe what they have to tell us, then why are we here? And that brings me to another important point. I said something earlier about listening to people's truths. That doesn't mean accepting lies either. Somebody's truth might be grounded in a misunderstanding, and part of this work is listening to that too and working through some of those misunderstandings. But you won't be able to identify those things if you're not listening. So speaking your truth and listening to other people's truths is not the same thing as telling a lie or accepting a lie. But we can't work through those misunderstandings unless we're listening to each other either.
Yeah. And it's also not replacing your own narrative, right? Like the point of listening is to hear other perspectives, ones that you don't normally have. That doesn't mean it erases everything you've experienced or everything you've done. It just adds depth and layer to it. And the more you listen, the more you'll be able to get out of that. So, all right.
That's all I got.
It's all done.
All right. Thanks,
Final
people.
primer. We'll see you sometime. Thanks.